If you ask a dyslexic person for a piece of information, it's kind of likely that you're going to get not just that piece of information, but also the whole backstory for how they know that piece of information. And that can be an experience. But the reason that happens is because a lot of dyslexic individuals have a preference for episodic memory. Episodic memory is essentially a way of storing information where instead of remembering an isolated fact and being able to just recall that isolated fact regardless of context, when you try and recall that fact, the whole story and context of where it came from and what it's associated with comes with. And that's why it's not uncommon if you ask a dyslexic person, hey, how do you know how to change the oil of a car? They'd be like, okay, so I grew up in this place that was kind of far away from all of the places that would work on your cars. And my family didn't have a ton of money. And so we just the context of our life was figuring out how many things that we need to do can we DIY. And so part of that was figuring out how do we do maintenance on the cars, and part of that was then learning how to change the oil of a car. So when I was 10 years old, that was when I started there's all of that information that is answering the question, but it's not just a simple, oh, I learned how to do it when I was a kid. It's not just that. Instead, it's this whole beautiful, broad context, which, again, is so amazing and incredible and rich and valuable in some regards, but it can also make it really hard to get a short answer out of a dyslexic person sometimes, unless they've done a lot of work to figure out, okay, how do I take an episodic story that came up in my mind and only present the semantic fact as if it was not part of a big episode, so that I don't spend so much time for everybody on this. That's a really valuable skill to actually build if you're dyslexic, figuring out how to do that well. It's a really good thing to practice.